Hey guys, Goresh from 59 Gaming here, and today we are going to be talking about Pokemon Masters' upcoming second anniversary. By the time this video goes up, the anniversary might already be live in game, but today I am joined by two guests. We are here with Sly and Matt, first time on the channel here. Thank you guys both for joining me, and before we jump into the actual details of the characters, the banners, what are your guys' thoughts? Are you excited for the second anniversary? Are you upset about anything, or what are your just initial impressions?
Too many banners.
Too many banners. Yeah, that's like one thing I've seen a lot of people say.
Yeah, I do agree with that. But so far, pre-anniversary into anniversary has been pretty good. Obviously, there are ups and downs, but so far, overall, yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, so if you guys weren't aware, we have basically a schedule that was revealed on the official Twitter account. I believe it's also live in game. We're starting off with Lily and Lunala coming out on the 27th of August, which is technically tonight, the same day we are recording this video. Then on the 29th, we have N and Reshiram. On the 31st, we have Steven and Rayquaza. All three of those banners are Master Fairs. So we have a triple Master Fair bonanza going on here. And if that wasn't enough, we have a 5-star select Pokefair Scout, which I believe is paid only.
It is.
Which is also starting tonight. And that actually does have the Signet Red and Charizard available on there. So that is a pretty enticing offer, but you know, you have to pay for the gems there. So it's up to you if you want to do that or not. And then besides those, we have two seasonal scouts coming out. One is coming out on the 2nd of September, and then one is coming out on the 9th of September. So this is going to just be split up into two different things. So that's in total 6 banners that we know of are coming out for the anniversary. That's a lot. And for people who are saying too many banners, I definitely understand where they're coming from. So with that said, I think we're going to go ahead and jump into and talk about the details of the 3 Master Fair units. We're going to go in order here. So we'll start off with Lily and Lunala. So what are your guys' initial impressions when looking at Lily and Lunala? Does she look good? Does she look bad? Just initial thoughts.
Considering that Mewtwo is the best Ghost Striker, and he's technically an off typing because he's mostly psychic, but he has Shadow Ball. Lily is about like your next best option. And since Mewtwo only comes back like once about every 6 months, so we'll see him for 2.5 anniversary. You might as well just go for Lily now. If you need Ghost and you don't have Mewtwo, or you can't make anything else work, that's about what you would go for her.
Right, yeah, Ghost is one of those types that has always struggled, because even before Mewtwo got his grid, that's what some people had to resort to. Using Mewtwo back in the day and just have him go. Now, I'm very sure she can match Mewtwo when Mewtwo has his full grid and she is 1 out of 5. But obviously that depends on teammates and everything. But grid-wise, gonna pull that up now. Grid-wise, she does have some stuff that buffs Moongeist, which is good. She has healing, which is good. Which you can actually tank with her if you have someone to provide defenses, so it's not bad at all. And you can use her as a Fairy Striker, because Fairy is another type that struggles a little bit. Even though we have Xerneas, Gardevoir hasn't rerun yet. So Fairy's struggling a little bit. She can do both of them. So if you're lacking either type, she is good. But in my opinion, I don't think she's necessarily worth the Master Fair.
Okay.
She just feels like a regular Fair to me.
Same.
Okay. And I mean, as somebody who's not like a top tier expert on the game, I just play the game pretty casually. And when I'm looking at her kit, right, her details here, like this whole splash page of what she does, the one thing that catches my eye, and the one thing that made me go, wow, this seems really OP, is the Shining Moonlight ability, which raises her special attack stat by 6 ranks, and then also gets her 3 ranks of critical hit. So it maxes her special attack and her crit with 1 ability, and that just seems like you enter the fight and you're instantly at like those max stats. So to me, as somebody who is not super knowledgeable on everything about this game, it seems like that would be really overpowered. Is that as overpowered as I'm thinking, or is it not as good as I'm thinking?
I mean, it's really good, like, because, you know, obviously she maxed out the 2, you know, offensive stats that she would require, because she doesn't have any physical. So you would just, if you do want to tank with her, like Matt said, because she does have that healthy benefits, where if you're hit by a move or sync move, when it's full, it reduces the damage, so she can So you could pair her with someone like, Bloof or Steelix or Starmie or Torterra or just someone that raises, a defensive stat. You can have her be a tank, though I kind of wouldn't, but if you needed one, you could.
Right. And so I guess my final question about Lily would be, because we have so many banners releasing during the anniversary, it's kind of imperative that you pick and choose where you're spending your gems, because you obviously can't summon for everything and expect to pull everything. So with Mewtwo being a free character, assuming you have Mewtwo, is this character worth summoning for, or should you skip this banner in favor of another banner?
Favor another banner, honestly.
Okay.
So new players who are just getting back into the game and happen to not have Mewtwo for some reason. If you don't have Mewtwo, yes. If you own him, you can skip her. But yeah, my thing is that if you really, really love Lily as a character, by all means go for her. Because this game isn't one you can necessarily meta slave because nothing is hard enough. So just pull for your favorites. There's no harm in doing that.
Yeah.
All right, there we have it. That is Lily and Lunala. Let us know down below what you guys think of her details. Next, we have N and Reshiram. And so just, spoiler alert, N and Reshiram, as well as Steven and Rayquaza, both sort of have the same issues. And I've seen sort of the same arguments being made against actually both these characters. So we'll start with N and Reshiram here. And the one big thing that I've seen people talking about with N and Reshiram, and then also we'll get into the same thing with Steven and Rayquaza, is the low stats, right? We take a look at his attack and special attack stats. They're both 254, whereas we just looked at Lily and Lunala. She has 400 special attack at level 140. So with such a big differential in offensive stats, with them both being, or actually I guess this guy's a tech unit, like, is he a good enough unit to do his role that you would consider summoning for this guy? And why would you consider summoning for this character if you have somebody like Leon and Charizard already?
You want to taste this one, Matt?
Yeah. Yes,
Go
because that was a lot. So first off, N has a Unova best friend in the form of Excadrill, where it's free moves, more crit rate, and Excadrill provides speed, and just Excadrill does so much right for N. But people will say, oh, but Sandstorm versus Sun. No one said use the Sun right away. You set up with the Sandstorm up first. But N has full AoE without split damage, with extend range. And if I understand this correctly, this also applies to his TMs. Don't quote me on that, though. I need to experiment with that. But if that's the case, he can max everyone's crit rate for free. Noble Roar, he debuffs everyone's attack and special attack, and if you own Gessis, you know how OP Noble Roar is. Just imagine that AoE. Blue Flare, hitting AoE, it's ridiculous. But then there is Piercing Blows, where you ignore Light Screen, Critical Guard, just endure anything that would reduce the move's damage. It just says no. AoE. Mind Games. He lowers the enemy's special defense just by touching them.
Yeah.
I don't know if that actually applies to Noble Roar. If that applies to Noble Roar, he drops 3 stats with 1 attack.
That would be silly.
Right. So I'm not gonna say yes or no on that, but I'm very sure it does. So that's really funny.
Also, one thing I would like to say that because of Noble Roar, since it is AoE, he has Devastation and Pecking Order in his grid, which is both the more the target special attack and attack are lowered, like to their respective ones, his sync moves get stronger.
Right, and that's something else I would want to comment on. So, if you guys know Champion Iris and her sync nuke capabilities, she's a tech just like N, has Pecking Order, has Devastation just like N. And will also have the Sun on his side as well. So that's another 50%. And any special defense drops. With CS2 as your lucky skill. If you thought Iris hit for a lot, this is gonna break it. And it's because of how they made his syncs work that I don't think those will be AoE. Because if extended range applied to his sync, he would literally have the benefit of a strike sync with a damage multiplier of a tech, which would be absolutely ridiculous. Because with piercing blows, it mentions the sync as well. Extend range, it doesn't. So that's why I don't think it's gonna count. I want it to, but I don't think it will.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, it sounds like just from the discussion we've had so far that we find Reshiram and N to be much better than Lily and Lunala in terms of just usability across the game. Is that true?
Head and shoulders.
Right, yeah, because he just does more. He has a better partner. He just has more going for him.
All right, well, there you go, guys. In terms of where you should prioritize summoning, just for, I mean, obviously, if you like Lily and Lunala as a character better, then go ahead and summon for her, because at the end of the day, this game is not too difficult. You can really make anything work at the end of the day here. But if you want to min-max the use of your gems and you want to pull for only the best characters, then I think N and Reshiram definitely is a better choice than going ahead and pulling for Lily and Lunala. But any last things you guys want to mention about N and Reshiram before we move on to the third and final sync pair here?
Give immediately.
All right, I guess we'll go ahead and move on to Steven and Mega Rayquaza Shiny here as the third and final Master Fair character. And I would probably have to say the most anticipated one as well. I know people were going absolutely ballistic when they showed off that trailer on Twitter, and because we didn't know that this guy was coming. We only knew about N and Reshiram from the direct, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't
Correct.
know about Lily Lunala, and we didn't know about Steven and Mega Rayquaza.
I'll have you know, I literally screeched across the house.
They had that trap card ready.
Yeah, they definitely knew what they were doing with this. So, but funnily enough, I mean, this guy sort of falls into the same category as we just discussed with N and Reshiram, where a lot of people's complaints come from the fact that his stats are very low, and especially because of the fact that he is a striker, right? I mean, N and Reshiram aren't even are a tech unit, so a striker having the stats as low as Steven and Rayquaza like that is a little bit surprising. Taking a look at his stats here, he's at 254 attack and then 254 special attack. Obviously, he's a physical attacker, so he's going to be mostly leveraging his attack stat.
Yeah.
But his speed is 300 before he megas, and then after he megas, it's at 420, which I would assume is one of the higher numbers for the speed stat in this game.
Oh yeah.
But let's just address the main question here about this character is, are his stats being so low going to make him not as good?
Honestly, I still would say no, because he has Hoenn Flagbearer, and so does someone like Groudon, who would be his best friend. So you're pairing up both of the Master passives, so that comes to like what, 80% total.
Yep.
And then you have
his
passive 2, which is downside up. So if a stat were to be lowered, it gets increased instead. So his Dragon Ascend would be increasing both of his defenses, and then his Draco Meteor would be increasing his special attack. Then he has his Sky High, which is raising his critical rate by 3 and gives himself super effective for the next move. And then if he's Mega'd, he raises his speed by 2. So obviously he doesn't need the speed, as we can all see by his speed stat. But
It all
because
just scales.
yeah. So because he's already, increasing all of his stats because of his downside up, plus the double Master Fair, plus the good form, his third passive, which is the more the user stats are raised, the more powers up moves. And because that's just overall stats, he maxes out what, like 6 stats by himself?
Yes.
He's fine with the lower stats.
It ends up being 6. It takes him a while, but it does end up being 6. And another argument with the lower stats is people criticized Archie and Kyogre for the exact same issue. Kyogre with Master Passive, Rain, Shower Power, it ends up being around the same buffs as Steven. Because good form, assuming it works the same as another passive in the game, I forget the name of it off the top of my head. When all 6 of your stats are maxed out, that ends up being roughly a 66% bonus. But then with double Hoenn Master Passive, you have 80. So all that just adds together, along with a base 230 max power Dragon Ascent. Like, that is ridiculous.
Obviously, Steven was more designed for something like what is it? Full Force Battle or Champion Stadium, or maybe Battle via for some like the later halls. Like he's designed for like something like, you know, more quote unquote end game where it takes a while, where you will see his like maxed potential. Like mostly Champion Stadium if you go for the full 7,500 points. So.
And also, I just want to address two more arguments that were actually presented about him. One, when it comes to his grid, you see that you see that his sync powers and some of his regular moves get powered up when there's no weather on the field. So why would you run him with Groudon? Because that's meant to make him match or at least do better. You're meant to run him with Groudon for that additional master passive. But the not weather stuff is meant to bump him up to a point where he still does good damage, even without that master passive.
I would like to say though.
So it's meant to round him up a little bit.
Real quick though, in his grid, I just noticed it. It says Weather Wipe 9. He removes all the weather conditions anyway when he uses a move, so you can pair it with Groudon and like immediately get rid of that sun. So,
but the problem with that is that your Groudon isn't doing nearly as much damage.
Yeah, that's true. But if we're only focusing solely on Rayquaza, then he can do that if he needed. But if you want both, then obviously, yeah.
It's an option. I'll be experimenting with that, but that's like the real main reason because with Groudon, you want to be maxing out his speed as well.
Yeah.
So his passive gives him Speeding Sun as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's your move gauge acceleration.
Plus,
on a team with 2 4-bar moves.
God forbid you also need more speed. He has Dragon Ascent Fleet Feet, so he increases it by 1 when he uses a move. So.
Yeah, exactly. So Steven gets speed. Groudon would have some speed with some Speeding Sun. So move gauge isn't as much of an issue. That's why you want the Sun up.
Yeah.
But that is an option. That's why he has weather stuff. It's meant to bump him up if you don't have Groudon because it's situational. It's another Massive Fair. Not everyone has him, and they understand that.
So with this guy being so self-sufficient in terms of basically getting max stats through his own abilities, I guess you don't really need to run a support character with him, right? He's just able to do everything for himself, right?
So the only reason why you would run another support character is you would want to hone one for the master passive,
right?
Because that's where you get the full 80%. Or if you just want to set him up quicker by doubling down on some stats. For example, his defenses will take the longest. Or if you don't have him 3 out of 5, the speed will take a while as well. Mm-hmm. Because you need a Mega first, and with that team having other sync focuses, it'll be a little later in the game.
Okay. So, I think in conclusion for this guy, just in direct relation to what people were talking about in terms of their criticism, this guy's stats are too low to be good. This guy is good. He just takes a while to set up and establish all these different passives and buffs and stuff like that. So, I mean, 420 speed when he's mega, like that is pretty dumb, I think.
Yeah.
And I guess you don't even have to mega him for him to be good too, because like all these stats are going to be off the charts at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the only thing that increases is his speed across the board when you mega him. So.
And then the last thing I want to bring up about this character is that he is basically the flying type striker in the game, right? The previous one is, I guess, Blue and Pidgeot.
Yeah, Blue and Pidgeot. He's so good.
So, I mean, this guy just completely replaces him, right?
Pretty much.
Is there a scenario where you would use Blue and Pidgeot over this guy?
If you don't have Steven, pretty much.
Okay, yeah.
Honestly, yeah. That'd be my one thing.
Okay. So we've established that we would recommend summoning for N and Reshiram over the Lily and Lunala. Now I guess we'll talk about Steven and Rayquaza. Do you recommend people summon for this character? And comparing them directly to N and Reshiram, if you had to choose between one of these characters, I know they're technically not the same role and they're technically different typings, but if you were going to choose between summoning for N and Reshiram and Steven and Rayquaza, which one would you choose to summon for?
Okay.
See, this does it completely just come down to who you like more?
Pretty much at that point, yeah. Because
So,
you're
yeah,
definitely
like,
not going to build
it's
Steven for
too-
Dragon.
Right, yeah, but the two big factors are, one, what are you lacking? Because with all the free multis going on right now, people will get, like, Bull and Pidgeot and just a bunch of other characters. It just depends on what type you're lacking to clear content,
Right.
or if you're missing one of the legendaries, or if one doesn't exist yet, like there's no flying legendary out yet. It
Well,
depends on what you're missing. Depends on who you like. But if you're talking pure damage numbers, one, I'd probably have to test that. But I think N would probably outdamage Steven, purely because the fact that he just has so much AoE coverage.
I can't believe you forgot Yveltal. He's a flying legendary.
Yeah, but he's not free, right?
Oh,
Free.
if you meant free, then I didn't hear the free part. Yeah, there's no free flying legendary. Yeah, you're right.
Right, yeah, free legendary. That useless
so-
overweight turkey.
So I guess the rankings in terms of what we would recommend would be N and Reshiram, then Steven and Rayquaza, and then Lily and Lunala last.
Pretty much, but for Steven and N, like, that is, like, really, like, close together of, like, who's, like, you would summon for more. Lily, you just already know.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Like, all three of them are really good. They all have their ups and downs, but probably, yeah, that order, in my opinion.
Okay. So there we go. I think that's going to wrap up our discussion for the upcoming second anniversary of Pokemon Masters. Let us know down below if you guys are excited for this. Are you guys excited for these characters? Are you disappointed by their kits? Like, just let us know your initial thoughts on this before everything releases. Anything you guys want to say last minute before we wrap this up?
Matt, can you run all three Ho and legendaries together on one team?
Oh boy. Okay, when you say all three Hoenn legendaries, are you counting regular Ray or all three Master Fair?
Master Fair.
Okay, that will be difficult because that's literally 3-4 bar moves.
What if you want to do
And
it
just-
for stuffs and giggles?
Sly, you're killing me. I will.
I'll let you know on September 1st.
Bro, do you even have ground-hunted Kyogre?
Nope. No,
Oh.
so that's why I'm going for Reshiram. Even though I
Okay.
really want shiny Rayquaza.
Okay. I will do it for you.
Thank you.
All right, well, there you go, guys. Again, let us know down below your thoughts on the celebration so far. And with that said, this has been 5-9 Gaming. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we will see you all in the next one.